So when you build that brand, your closing ratios go up. And then when you look at your profit and loss statement at the end of the year, where other companies are spending 5, 7, 8% on marketing, our marketing numbers are actually lower and our leads are up, because we've got that trust. We've got that brand.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nailed It podcast here on YouTube and on the audio version. I'm here with my good buddy, Joe Ayler of Tar Heel Construction Group down in Maryland. And we're going to dig in today on how to build a brand and really own your local area and get everyone in that local area to get to know who you are so you can grow your business with predictability, just as Joe has done over the years. So welcome, Joe. Excited to dive in here, buddy.
Joe, thanks for having me, man.
Yes, my pleasure. We talked, I think, last Friday and kind of teed this up, and we were talking about brand, and you brought it up. You're like, yeah, why don't we just hop on and do a video? And I was like, yeah, I mean, perfect. Not many companies in the roofing industry are building a brand and doing marketing and doing video the way that you guys are. So anytime I see that, I get excited, and I see an opportunity to highlight that for the industry, to provide some insights, provide some knowledge and education, and to help others build more predictability in their roofing and contracting companies. So you want to start out by giving the audience rather a little bit of an overview of Tar Heel Construction Group?
Yeah, we're Tar Heel Construction Group. We are located in Harford County, Maryland. We are almost smack dab in the middle, right on the 95 corridor between DC and Philadelphia. And we are a residential home improvement contractor focusing on roofing and exteriors. We get into a little bit of commercial work. We don't do a ton of it. We're not in that competitive bidding space. We don't deal with a ton of GCs. We like to deal with property management companies and building owners and facilities directors and stuff like that. The primary portion of the business, like I said before, residential roofing and exteriors.
All right, Joe, we talked the other day about your experience laying shingles and working for roofing companies before going out on your own. Can you give us a little bit about of a background about that journey?
So before we became, a general contractor, we were a subcontractor, and we were a subcontractor for many years, for about 7 years. And we were able to, establish a reputation, establish relationships, learn the trade, learn the do's and don'ts, and more importantly, learn the don'ts. Learning about what not to do was critically important for our growth. We saw so many general contractors rob Peter to pay Paul, just not pay their subcontractors on time, didn't focus on company culture, all the kind of buzzwords and keywords that are popular in contracting today. But it was kind of like, triple A ball, where you learn the numbers, you perform, you establish the relationships. And we had established a reputation as a go-to subcontractor. Like we said in our previous conversation, we took a job from a particular young contractor in the business that we knew locally, and I thought to myself one day on the roof in my late 20s, man, if that guy can do it, I know that I can do it. And we still compete against that guy today, but I knew that his background wasn't in shingling roofs and wasn't in roofing. And I thought to myself, if he can start a business and sell roofs and get something going, I know that I can. And that provided my inspiration to start Tar Heel Construction Group.
Man, that's cool. It's that little insight there, that little epiphany where you had that boost of confidence, I guess. Like, yeah, why not me, right? Like, I think that happens a lot in our lives and in business, and we tend to put other people on a pedestal, especially social media these days and Instagram and everything. And, it's kind of like, oh, they're doing these cool things. But then you step back, you're like, well, yeah, why can't I do those? There's a little bit of that, huh?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people in business, whether also in their personal lives, everybody can kind of reflect on a certain moment where you kind of had that aha moment or that light bulb went off. And I can take you back to the town and to the house that I was on that when that happened, and I thought to myself, man, like, I can do that. And it took a couple years. Obviously we had to, and we'll get into this in our talking points, but we had to start somewhere. We had to generate leads. We had to come up with intellectual property. We had to get lines of credit, relationships with supply houses. We had to, get the trucks and the trailers and the swag and the t-shirts and the office space and the office. I mean, all the stuff that goes into owning and operating a proper business these days. But yeah, you got to start somewhere. And I bet you talk to 9 out of 10 successful contractors that went out on their own, and they can probably tell you that kind of light bulb moment.
Yeah, right on. And I'm sure that experience working for other companies was so valuable in giving you guys that kickstart. So obviously you're going to make mistakes and you're going to do a lot of those don'ts, but hopefully minimizing some of those things and minimizing the downside and minimizing the learning curve there, so you can get that initial traction and take off the way that you want.
Absolutely.
Now, fast forward to today, which we'll get into. You guys have built a really solid brand in Hartford County and maybe beyond. But take us back to those first few months, to how you got customers. Like, where'd you get leads? Was it word of mouth? Was it family and friends? Like, how did you seed those initial customers for your new company?
Well, I know that a lot of contractors out there, especially in the roofing industry, are going to frown when I say this, but I'll reference the time back in 2013 and 2014. We used Home Advisor, and we don't anymore, and we haven't for several years. Everybody in the industry knows that their lead quality and their integrity has and the integrity of their leads has gone down significantly over the past couple of years. But in 2013, 2014, 2015, the leads were cheap, they were hot, and we closed a lot of them. We had a good closing ratio on that particular lead generation bucket. So we would pay for a lead. We would get into a neighborhood, and we would, obviously, perform quality work, put our yard sides out, get our trucks in there, talk to the neighborhood, get involved with some direct mailing and some, putting some little rat cards in some doors. So we would get into a neighborhood with a $60 lead from Home Advisor, and then end up doing, 15 or 20 houses in that neighborhood. And then once you capture those 15, 20 customers, you satisfy those customers, and then you get their cousins, and then you get their cousins' sisters, and then you get their friends, and then it spreads like an infection. So to answer your question, as much as it pains me to say it, man, in 2013 and 2014, Home Advisor was critical in launching, our very own customer base. And now that we've satisfied and serviced thousands and thousands of customers, I look at it like throwing like a farmer throwing seeds into a field. Every seed that you throw into your field, you never know if it's going to be a little sapling, or if that seed's going to grow into the biggest, redwood where it sprouts all sorts of work and customers and all that stuff. But it's our responsibility to throw as many seeds in that field as possible.
Love that. And the other thing I'm hearing there, Joe, is that it's also, you took the responsibility seriously of, hey, we're going to buy these leads and we're going all in with them. Like, we're going to respond to them. We're going to do a great job. We're going to work the neighborhood. We're going to put out our signs. We're going to get reviews and referrals. And you're milking everything you can out of that one $60 lead. And I think that's what it takes with any sort of marketing effort or any sort of customer generation. If you're going to knock doors, then go all in and get trained and be amazing at that. If you're going to buy leads, then do exactly what you just did and turn one lead into an entire neighborhood. If you're going to do Facebook advertising, go all in with video. So go all in with whatever channel that, and this is kind of education for the audience, go all in with one or two channels. Don't try to do a bunch of different things, kind of a half measure of different things, because you're not going to be able to go deep on any one thing. So my advice is to pick one or two of those channels like Joe did at the beginning, and go all in and get as much out of those things as you can. And you'll learn a lot. You'll ideally get a lot of business from that, and you'll be able to build a platform for the next stage of your growth.
I think that's very well said, Joe. Yeah, and after we started to capture some customers off of that platform, then we put our first drone up in the air in 2015. Now it's 2021 right now, and back in 2015 on Facebook, I would there weren't a lot of contractors, especially roofing contractors back in 2015. I would say there wasn't very little of them were doing drone work, and we put our first drone up in the air in 2015, and we've progressed over the years to these very high quality edited reveals of our roofing installations. But in 2015, to back up a little bit, we started to capture the work from Home Advisor. And then once we kind of got comfortable with that lead generation source, then we put the drone up in the air and started attacking Facebook. And then simultaneously, we started to massage Google, started playing the backlink game, playing the Google My Business game, and constantly, like I love using that word, massaging Google, which is what we do every single day. We're adding photos, we're adding descriptions, anything that Neil Patel suggests, we're going after it. So yeah. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, for sure. So let's unpack that a little bit, because folks might have some questions about what you're doing there as far as getting the drone video. If you have a drone, that's pretty straightforward. But then you have all this video footage. What do you do to get that edited? What are you talking about? You blasted Facebook? Are you running ads? Who's doing that? Is that you, or is it someone else in your company, or someone that's outside the company? What does that look like?
Yeah, so back in 2015 and 2016, 2017, I mean, Facebook is evolving so rapidly now. Facebook is very, very busy now with paid ads. But back in 20, and I know 2015 isn't that long ago, but it was a very different landscape, back in 2016 and 2017. So that's when we gathered a lot of our likes. Not that we have too many of them, but it's proportional to our demographic. There's 250,000 people in our county, and we've got about close to 3,000 likes on our Facebook page. So I think that's a reasonable, the proportionality is there. But with the Facebook, we ran sponsored ads, and we kind of made these drone shots kind of our niche. A lot of people are doing them now, but back in 16, 17, and even 18, not a lot of people were doing them. So now we're almost known. It's almost a staple, or our trademark is our drone videos. So it's almost something that we have to keep doing, which is funny enough, because if you create that kind of
A little bit of a trademark. Like, people expect that from you guys.
right. It's an expectation. So it's evolved. Back in 2016, we used an app like a executive director, or some app that we would use, and then now we're using Adobe Premiere. We're using Final Cut Pro. I've trained a drone pilot that has their Part 107. We shoot probably we've drone footage on 80% of our projects. We have an in-house videographer and photographer, and every year that passes, he gets better at editing. The processes get tighter. Now it's our responsibility to continue to evolve, because people are used to seeing the same old, kind of video that we produce. But now we're trying to switch it up and get more creative with our videos, and not just have the same kind of flyover pattern, but kind of mix it up a little bit, and kind of diversify that content. But I don't want to get away from your question, but we sponsored our ads. We flew the drone to create that uniqueness, where nobody else was doing it. So video wasn't too popular as it is now. So uh, we just kind of stayed consistent with it. We stayed consistent with it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm a big fan of consistency. I'm not the smartest guy, I'm a hardworking guy, but I'm the guy who's going to show up every day and do the work. And I realized that, like, just by doing that, like, that can be enough a lot of times, because most people aren't willing to be consistent with it until they see that return. Back to like what you're talking about, going back a few years, doing your drone footage, and nowadays it's a little bit more commonplace. But we're in 2021, and I mean, you probably see the same thing. I see it a lot. Like, number one, a lot of roofing companies are still like wondering if they should get a drone. So they're still not, most roofing companies still don't use a drone. And those who do are just kind of doing those basic flyover videos, like that, they're cool for a beginner, but they're actually very boring for your audience, right? Like, you need to keep people's attention. And like, once you've seen one drone flyover video of a roof, then you're like, okay, I need more, like, what's next? So I love that phrase that you use, that you have a responsibility to evolve. And if you don't, then you're going to get stale, and people are just going to, kind of glance over you in their feed, or just kind of, they're going to get banner blindness or ad fatigue or content fatigue. They're just going to get sick of the same old stuff over and over. So I love that you're continuing to sharpen the saw, your video guy in-house, continuing to get better every year. That's what it takes. But you don't have to be great when you start. Like, start out basic, just get the reps in, but make it a priority to constantly learn, get better, learn from others who are doing it, and you got to continue to evolve, like Joe said.
Yeah, I like that, Joe. Yeah, just to add one more point. Yeah, with the evolution of the videos, and we've added music to the video now, and on top of that, this past year we're adding edits to the music. So if you get a bump bump bump, in the song, then we do a transition on it. But I always tell my videographer, we're not making a rap video or a music video. We still want our customer base to understand what they're looking at, so we don't want to we want it to be fun, and we want to evolve, but we always want to circle back to what we do and the products that we put on. So we're always trying to focus on that, but yeah, the music, the transitions, the different angles, and trying to provide that cinematic feel for our customers, to kind of just, all we want to do, man, is just engage them for just a couple seconds. We're not we might make a 30-second video, and I understand that probably 99% of our customer base is not going to watch that video for the whole 30 seconds. But if we can get them just for a couple seconds consistently over and over again, it's just like that drip of water on the stone. It just drives it. It just drives it. It drives it deep over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said one thing in there. You may not have realized what you said, but you always bring it back to the products that you're putting on, the roofs that you're putting on, because it's about your customer. It's about your market. Marketing's about your market. So it's important, and this, it's important not to get caught up in that, hey, we want to produce a flashy video that's going to look amazing and we're going to be so proud of it ourselves, where you don't want to lose focus of like what it's for. Like, your market needs to connect with that. And if it's all about you guys and it's all about creating a cool video, like, that can be cool for your culture or maybe for recruiting, but it's not necessarily going to be good for marketing, because people aren't going to connect with it. So really good point there. Really strong point.
I agree.
So fast forward to today, Joe. Are people, the drone video, your photography and everything like that, do you think, do you measure the ROI on that, or do you have a sort of feeling, a conclusion on how that's driven your business over the years? Like, are homeowners mentioning that when they're calling in and getting their appointments and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, to touch on kind of this question and the one before, when we built this company and started to brand this company, we we were hyper focused I guess hyper locality. Harford County isn't a large area as far as square miles is concerned. So we focused, we hyper focused on our marketing efforts. So, and like I said about the water and the stone, it's like hitting a hammer in one spot. You're just going to drive your brand down with much more authority and it's just more impactful. And that's kind of what we focused on. So we start close and make an impact. And then when we want to kind of expand, we have that opportunity because the foundation and the reputation and the brand has been established. So I think that was a big part of our success. We didn't swing for the fences when we came out the gate. We focused on a very, very tight knit area and got our processes down, established a reputation locally. And now if I want to go into the neighboring counties, the neighboring counties will talk to this county and say, hey, I know Tar Heel Construction's from Harford County. Now they're up in the neighboring county. What do you know about these guys? So we've already got the reputation established there. But as far as the metrics on the videos, we get involved in the community. That was another big kind of metric and key factor in our growth. Was getting involved with the local chamber of commerce. Supporting the local baseball team, getting in the local parade. Advertising, obviously locally on Google and stuff like that, but really getting involved with the community and sponsoring the local events and going to the mixers and the network happy hours and the downtown alliances and all that stuff that goes on. And when I would be out in the community and when our team would be out in the community, they would say, hey, you're the roofing contractor that does them videos, and we would say, yeah, so to answer your question, we don't necessarily track the metric, but through community involvement and people recognizing our company with these kind of specific mentions of the video and the editing and stuff like that, and following our comments and our likes and obviously stuff like that helps as well.
Yeah, right on. And that's important. This brand building type of content is some of it is measurable. A lot of it's not. You're just going to notice, more macro trends in the right direction as opposed to like the micro data, if you will. And, a lot of companies that haven't done any sort of brand building or videos on social media would be quick to say, all right, well, like what's, how much am I going to pay per lead? Or like, what's the cost per lead? And, obviously you want to try to drill down into that for your business overall, but that's not really what it's about. It's almost impossible to track that down to the cost per lead. And that's not exactly what you're looking for. You're not just looking for a bunch of leads, right? Like if you were, you could just go buy a bunch from Home Advisor. But what you guys want someone to, come see you at an event or see you online and contact you and be like, yeah, see you guys all over the place. I know I need a new roof. My roof is old. Like, how can you help me? And that's what brand building does. It facilitates those warm conversations with people that know who you are. They understand that you're a part of the community. They see that value. They're willing to pay you for that value. And it's overall a much warmer appointment and a much more enjoyable sales process, more productive sales process. And you're going to be able to build your business with profitable jobs because those people are going to pay you for what you're worth. And they're not going to try to nickel and dime you at every turn like a cold lead would, generally speaking. So do you guys get, those conversations that you have with your sales team, setting appointments, whatnot? Do you find them to be, warm because of the brand building content you've done or what?
Absolutely. It makes our company more profitable. To speak to my point before, we're not overreaching our boundary. We understand the population, the demographic that we're dealing with. We don't expect to be a $30 million a year company in this little area that we're operating in. We just want to operate efficiently and profitably. So when you build that brand, your closing ratios go up. And then when you look at your profit and loss statement at the end of the year, where other companies are spending 5, 7, 8% on marketing, our marketing numbers are actually lower. And our leads are up, because we've got that trust. We've got that brand. This, kind of leads to one of our other talking points is I think there's a stigma out there, in the roofing industry, scale. What's your top line number? Are you 10 million? Are you 15, 20 million? And we just want to be efficient and profitable. Obviously, we don't want to take a step backwards, but we want to understand our market and our demographic and scale appropriately. We've got a couple sayings in our company, and I've said this to you before. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Get better before we get bigger. And that's, those are a couple sayings, and another one, I got them all up in the head here, but every single customer is either helping or hurting our brand. Every single one, whether it's the customer that just needs one shingle replaced for a small roof repair, or if it's that $70,000-$80,000 behemoth, up in the northern portion of the county. So hope that helped. Yeah, to bring that back. Yeah, branding and reputation. It creates a magnetism in your company where people are prideful and excited to work here because we've got such a good reputation locally. They're proud to walk out in the community and say, "Yeah, I work for Tar Heel Construction Group. Yeah, we're the roofing authority in Harford County." And I'm happy to work there. I'm proud to work there because we've established that reputation. The salesmen are happy because their closing ratios go up because it's just not that hard to sell a roof because they know that they can trust us. They know that we're going to, service the product. They know that we're going to show up on time. We're going to walk them through the job. We're going to over communicate. We're going to register the warranty, and then we're going to come back and service the product if there's any issues. So the closing ratios go up, the company culture goes up, people are proud to work here, and then we spend less money on marketing.
Man,
and our profits go up.
All right, dude. I was hoping that you would share some of these things on this episode, and that was way more than I imagined. I'm grateful for that because I'm the guy here on the camera talking about these things like ad nauseum, but it's so much more powerful when those things come from those insights come from a roofing company owner who's doing it, right? To hear that, how does a brand make me money? How does a brand help me attract and retain top quality people to support that growth? How does that brand, help me run a more enjoyable company and maybe have a better lifestyle because we have a brand and we're not just, chasing transactions. So thank you for sharing that, brother. We're gonna definitely chop that out and use that as a little clip to try to persuade more of the industry. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, Joe, and I love the concept of focusing on that one county, that one area. That's exactly what we train our clients on. If they're say in Dallas, right? Like no matter what size company you are in Dallas, of which there are thousands of roofing companies, don't try to market to the entire Metroplex area, right? Like pick an area, pick a town, part of town, pick a zip code that you want to own and go deep. Just like I mentioned before, pick a lead generation channel, customer acquisition channel, and go deep on that. Pick a geographic area and get everyone in that area to know who you are. You're going to be able to get traction much more quickly than if you're to, try to focus on the whole big area. So I love that concept. And we talked about it last week. If I do start a roofing company someday down the road, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to call smart guys like you and get some tips. But I'm going to focus on this little area in southern Monmouth County where I am in New Jersey. There's like 10 towns in this little, it's not even a full county. It's just a part of a county, pretty densely populated here along the beach. And a lot of money, a lot of cedar shake, a lot of big houses, a lot of big old houses with old roofs. And I think like you could build a $10, $20 million company just in this one little pocket, just by, getting everyone to know who you are and not having to travel all over the state or all over your metropolitan area which is going to cause, more stress and inefficiency for your team. So, for anyone watching, listening, like, figure out what that area is. Maybe it's an area close to your office, or maybe it's a high end area that you want to target. Whatever that is, like, find your little niche and own that. Don't try to go so wide again, because you're not going to be able to go deep in any one area. So love that.
Yeah, I agree. Let me, Leah, let me touch on that. I agree. And when you talked about the Dallas Metroplex, people love support. I mean, people love supporting local business. I mean, it has become a small business mantra across the United States. People love supporting local. So if you're in Dallas, don't just say I'm a local Dallas roofer. Like you said, geographically hyper focus on a neighborhood. I'm local to the Weston neighborhood. I'm a local Westminster contractor, or whatever your neighborhood or your part of town is. I'm local to Southern Monmouth County, New Jersey, or whatever it is. So I like that. Don't just go local, because it depends on your market and your demographic. You can go hyper local, like we've been saying. And then another point that came to mind was, and we talked about this before, when an issue or a fire that needs to be put out, or something happens in my business where we need to pivot or make an adjustment, it's much more manageable for us being in a smaller service area. So I don't have to put out a fire 2 hours away, an hour and a half away. It's usually within a 30 or 45-minute drive. So, and that also goes for the size of our company and the size of our team. At $8 million gross annual revenue and a team of 15, we're in that nice little kind of wheelhouse where we can make adjustments quickly and pivot. And I know that word sucks, with COVID and stuff like that, but this is in a different context. We can adapt. We can hire. We can fire. Not that we don't have turnover, but I'm just using examples. We can hire, fire. We can use different subs. We can make adjustments, pricing, what neighborhoods we want to be in. If a truck goes down, it's manageable right now at this size. And once you scale up, and you get in it, you start getting into that 8-figure range, it becomes it becomes a beast that needs to be fed and needs to be groomed, and it's not as easy. It's not as easy at that level.
Yeah, really sharp insights there. Do you think that's your sweet spot where you guys are at right now, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question for me. And like, you know better than most, with if we want more business, we need to market and advertise more. If you market and advertise, I like to say, marketing it's faith based. You to an extent. You follow your metrics and all that stuff, but if you put your marketing dollars into a bucket, you need to be faithful that you're sending the right message. And that you're going to get that return on investment. So we're kind of contemplating that right now. Do we want to kind of eclipse that 8-figure horizon? And what does that look like? Does that make sense? Is that going to make everybody happier? Is that going to make our processes easier or more difficult? Are we going to have to change how we operate? But what I'm trying to do right now is to try to kind of galvanize our processes. So if we do want to scale, we have that option.
Yeah, I love that word, having those options. And like you said before, you have to grow better or get better before you grow bigger. And I think it's probably a case where not a lot of owners think about that. Like, how do our processes change as we grow from 8 million to 12 million or 15? Like, it's not going to be what got us here, what's going to get us there. It's going to be something different. So how can we adapt our processes? How do we need to adapt our processes, our team and whatnot? You might grow to 12 million and realize that your profit's the same, or your profits maybe even a little less. And like, do you want that? Do you want that, for your lifestyle and for the lifestyle and workload of your team? So those are all factors I would imagine go into that type of decision making, huh?
Absolutely. I got a coach and mentor that I deal with, and he told me at at the current level that we're at right now, can we take on any more work? And last year we were, I don't want to say we were stressed, but the machine was running at high RPMs.
Hmm.
And if we would have pressed that pedal any harder, you know, it wouldn't have been comfortable. So if we want to, get up into that, like I said before, that 8-figure range, then we're going to have to add pieces. And I really suggest anybody, whether they're, it doesn't matter if they're 1 million or if they're, I mean, obviously the bigger companies are going to have their processes, but processes, man. I mean, I read that book by Michael Gerber, E-Myth, and it was, I don't know, I want to say it was a life changer, but it definitely was a very good book that, shed a light on processes inside of entrepreneurship and inside of business. Some of the guys in the roofing industry will have processes on, where the truck is parked as they pull up to the sales appointment, whether it's driver's side towards the door or passenger side towards the door, what they're wearing, how many times they knock on the door, their script everybody in the door to door industry has a script, but for us retail guys, some people get very detailed on their processes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you don't want to drive your staff crazy with too many detailed processes, but having those in place are extremely important for sure. As far as scalability is concerned, and efficiency, and how comfortable your staff is as well. Because if everybody's on the same page and everybody understands one another's responsibilities, then it operates much more efficiently and smoothly.
Yeah, great point about the process is one of the recent interviews I did with one of our clients down your way, Smart Roof. They're at about a $60 million range per year in annual revenue, and he was talking about the same exact things. Like at the beginning, you can rely on great people. And you always need good people, right? But at the beginning, you rely on the hustle and the grind of great people who are just going to get things done. But as you scale, it's more about relying on the processes and then training people on those processes and systems so that everything's repeatable, everything's expected, everyone knows everyone's responsibilities and roles, and it's a much more comfortable situation as you grow. And so I heard the same thing last week, and you're saying exactly what Josh said over there at Smart Roof. So good words of wisdom right there.
Absolutely.
So getting into that team a little bit, what's your role in your company right now? Like, what do you focus on a weekly basis?
So, and I'm going to touch on one of your questions here. What hat am I going to take off this year, or what responsibility do I want to relieve myself of? And I'm still involved with a lot of the creative and a lot of the marketing in the company. So I'm making decisions. So we don't outsource our marketing to anybody. So we've got an in-house videographer, we've got an in-house photographer. And so what I've done is I've taken a friend of mine who used to be a part-time wedding photographer, and I taught him how to fly a drone. And we learned how to edit video over the last couple of years. So he manages our social, he flies the drone, he does the videography and photography. So it's kind of like a morphed kind of position that we've created for Bobby, and he's getting better. Could I hire and outsource a media company and get quality content? Yeah, probably. Or get higher quality images and get more content? Yeah. Could I hire a drone guy? Could I hire somebody to manage the social media? Because you've got to create the content, but then on the other hand, you've got to distribute it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured just to bring it in house and kind of learn and kind of grow with one another. So to answer the question of, to get back to what I was talking about before, I'd really like to kind of relax, because as a business owner, you can obsess over marketing and Google My Business. And like I said before, the backlinks and what your website looks like, and your referral source reporting, where are people finding you, and all the different buckets that you got to put your marketing and advertising dollars in, and all that stuff can be a little bit consuming. So I'd like to take that hat off at some point, but my role in the company right now is the overall strategic direction, making connections, networking, making sure that we're profitable, making sure the company culture is there, um, happiness, safety, like I said before, directionality, brand. I'm the brand. I'm the local brand ambassador of Tar Heel Construction Group. So if I'm out at an event, if I'm at a networking happy hour, if I'm out at a local restaurant with my family and somebody walks by and says, "Hey, Joe, hey, it's that Mr. Tar Heel," I get that all the time, and I'm okay with that, because I'm representing well within the community, and at this point, I think we have to. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I am the brand ambassador for my company as well, so I totally get it. And the more that I can, relieve myself of some of those in the business duties, the more that I can focus on being that ambassador and going to events and, appearing on podcasts and things like that, and building strategic alliances and culture and all that, which is necessary, and it's also fun and exciting. So
Absolutely.
it's necessary to definitely be aware of that, of what you're doing in your business, and continually kind of firing yourself from different jobs within the company, or else you're just going to kind of stay stagnant, or burn out, right?
I agree. I mean, you gotta like, you just gotta adapt and kind of just scan. You got to scan the horizon for those opportunities, but then at the same time, you got to internalize and understand what's best for the company. And those decisions can be hard to make sometimes. I think you've got to crawl before you run, and you've got to complete each step of the training before you move on to the next stage. And that's kind of what we're focusing on. We're just trying to just do good work and just create that positive customer experience, and just follow the metrics and see and just continue to be test the temperature. It's how much is that phone ringing? How busy are my guys? If my guys are continuously coming to me and saying, "Dude, I can't run anymore," then I got to hire a salesman. If my office staff is saying, "Man, I'm the office manager. I'm doing this. I've got too much responsibility," then that tells me that I need to, hire another office person. So I think being a present owner and operator and being in the office every day allows you to kind of touch all, at least for me at the size of my company, I can touch all my people, have that 5 minute kind of pass by improvised conversation, check understand everybody's mood and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it, brother. Love it. I appreciate you sharing all this. This is really good insight for companies at pretty much any level. Like you're really dialed in, and if you've definitely are very thoughtful about the moves that you make. So I really appreciate you sharing that, and kind of opening up here. As we wrap up, can you give, I'm sure you have a lot of advice. You could probably, do a whole video about this, and I know you shared a lot already. For a roofing company owner at any level who's like, all right, I got the sales thing down, right? We can go knock doors, we can buy leads, we can run a referral appointment, we can generate sales, but I really want to figure out this whole marketing piece. And those are the clients that we get. They're like, I want to figure out this marketing piece, so train me on that. What would you say to an owner that's at that point where they've got the sales, they've got the production capability, they're ready to kind of get to that next level, and they want to figure out that marketing? What should they do?
Consistency, consistency, consistency. That's what I would start with. And then what I like to do is I like to find out what everybody's doing and do the opposite. And that can be hard to do, and it can be scary to do. And when we put the drone up in the air in 2015, I knew nobody was doing it. There were a couple guys doing it, but I knew nobody was doing it. In our demographic, everybody wants to run towards Baltimore City. For your listeners, we're about 35 minutes northeast of Baltimore City. So all the contractors up here want to run down to the metro area. We're going to run away. We're going to run up into the northeastern county. So consistency, and just follow all the traditional marketing kind of staples, your call to actions, yeah, clear and concise delivery and all that stuff. But one thing that we don't do here, we don't do gimmicks, we don't do coupons, we don't do free gutters with the roof, we don't do, half on the front, half on the back, spring sale. We don't do any of that. How we look at it, Joe, is, and this could be a little pretentious or conceited or whatever you want to call it, Rolex doesn't go out. You don't see Rolex in a money mailer, or you don't see a very rarely do you see a Rolex ad on a TV. If you already know, if you want a quality watch, you're going to go to your jeweler and you're going to buy a Rolex. And that's kind of how we look at it. If you want a quality, roofing and exterior project, and you don't want to deal with the headaches that you normally, all the stigma headaches that you deal with in the industry, and you want that kind of consistent, communication, you want the follow up, you want the quality installation. We don't chase work, we attract work. And that's what I would say, man. Listen, I'm good. I'm on today. Usually I don't rattle off these little mantras so easily off the top of the head. But yeah, you just need to, and that goes back to our point with the brand. You just need the brand quality, and you'll start. I can't tell you how many times where our guys will sell roofs and we'll be 15, 16, $1,800 more than the next guy, but they'll use us anyway because they trust us, and we've galvanized the brand. So to answer your question, be different, but be smart, different, be consistent, and don't stop. Don't, a lot of these guys, you get on their Facebook page, you get on their social, you see they posted a lot in 18, a little bit in 19, and then boom, it just stopped. Follow through, be consistent, be smart, be different, but be smart about it. And then see what everybody else is doing and try doing something different, because that's what's going to get that's what's going to gain the attention.
I've got nothing to add. That was the that was the perfect finale. Just drop that mic right there.
Yeah,
Dude,
man.
I mean, like brother from another mother, like that's exactly what I live. That's what we train our clients. That's what we try to educate the industry on. Like when you have a brand, you don't need to chase work. You don't need to discount. You don't need to do gimmicks and things like that. It's so powerful, brother. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to put the URL of your website there so people can go check out your site, go check out some of those drone videos on your socials, and hopefully get some inspiration for building out their local brand.
You're the man, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
You're the man, Joe, as well. Right back at you. We'll talk soon.
All right, you got it, brother.